Good morning and welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing live. I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on the Twitter handle or the X handle or whatever you want to call it. I thought we needed a laugh today, which is why I brought in Scotland's top comedian, Des McLean. And as you can see, he's live from Harry's Bar, probably unhappy hour in Harry's Bar. Des, how are you, sir?
Well, listen, my old mucker, the old Tony, I said the last time, going to stop getting me on after Celtic's been pumped in Europe, and you went, no bother, Des. In fairness, the last time you asked me to come on, I was in New York, family holiday, it was great. And then you made up for it by asking me last night, and I was like, oh. And I thought, nobody else wants this gig today. I seem to be the Graham Murty of the punditry podcast. Well, send for McLean, get McLean in. Tell me, do a few funny voices trying for me. So I am the Graham Murty of the podcast punditry. Just get McLean in. So here we are again. The same old script, the same old movie. We've seen it many times. Groundhog Day again.
I shone the bat signal to Harry's Bar and Des has answered the call. So I thank you very much for that, Des. There you go. But
we will talk. Sorry, I won't. In case anybody's thinking, why is Des in the pub at this time in the morning? Apart from the fact that most Celtic fans would probably want to be in the pub at this time in the morning after that gubbing last night. This used to be my garage. It's now Harry's Bar. It's a real pub. Well, it's a pub now. I did all my live Zoom gigs during lockdown. Our comedians in here, comedy clip, right? And this is it. This is where we do our podcast now. It's got everything. It's got draft lager. It's got signed photos of Messi. It's got taxi numbers, Wi-Fi codes, and it's even got scampi fries. You can't beat the old scampi fries. There you go. Anyway, so in case people thought, well, where's that boozer in Rob Royston? People have actually tried to come in here asking for me. Right, so there you go. So I have to start doing 20 minutes. No, anyway. So, let's talk about that.
Yes, indeed. It's never a dull moment when Des is on, guys. We'll talk about Atletico Madrid 6 Celtic now in a couple of minutes. But first of all, I have to big up our sponsors. So the morning briefing is brought to you by MPH Group and their Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trade specialists covering all of mainland Scotland. And every service you opt for enters you into MPH's incredible holiday giveaway. And you could win a 7-night stay at the luxurious 5-star Moon Palace Resort in Cancun, Mexico. And winter's rolling in, and if you're thinking of giving your home heating system a boost, MPH has an enticing Navien Boiler Winter Promotion just for you. And when you opt for a Navien Boiler installation through MPH Boilers, not only are you choosing top-tier efficiency, but you're also getting a free Navien Internet Controller, and that little gadget can crank up your boiler's efficiency to an impressive 98%. And the cherry on top of that is that they're covering the first year service with no added cost. And if you're wondering why Navien, then they're gunning for the Product of the Year awards at the H&V News Awards, which is the Oscars of the heating world. And to top it all off, the Navien on-range comes with a 12-year parts and labour warranty. And that's some serious peace of mind right there. So a big shout out to MPH because they're nominated for the Small Company of the Year at the same awards. And MPH even offer flexible finance options. So gear up for a winter chill and consider making a smart move with MPH and Navien. And you'll find all the links to MPH's social media sites and telephone number in the description of this video. There you go, Des. I did it. It takes a while, but we get there in the end. And then Des, promoting the old Bend It Like Bertie, which I believe is coming back to the pavilion. Is that right, Des?
There's two reasons why I'm bringing this poster out. Right, Bend It Like Bertie, to take our mind off last night's European. Look back to the glory days with our Lisbon line, the greatest ever Celtic personality and player, in my opinion, the great Bertie Auld. Bend It Like Bertie is coming to the Pavilion Theatre this coming February. And do you know what? It's the ideal Christmas present for every and any Celtic fan. What can I get my dad? Mama's seen it 4 times. If you love nostalgia, if you love Celtic, if you love Bertie Auld, if you love family, and if you love, if you love Celtic, this is it. So take your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, your pal, your Celtic fan. Even Rangers fans have been to see it. Boo! Oh no! So it's a great wee idea as a wee stocking filler. Bend It Like Bertie back at the Pavilion. There you go. Thanks for that little plug, Tony. There you go.
It's all right, and it stars Des as Bertie. The two of them are a force of nature, by the way, big time. But there you go, which is why I brought Des on. I thought we all needed cheering up. Okay, Des, can't escape it any longer. 6-0 drubbing last night in the Metropolitano. The strapline says, why does Celtic never seem to gear up properly for the Champions League? We spoke off air just before we came on, and you're not so perturbed about last night's defeat. It's the Lazio game that got to you more than most, wasn't it? You were telling me.
Last night, obviously, we're sitting there with half an hour to go, 20 odd, and we're sitting going, oh, no, I don't want a 7-0, 8-0, no, 9-0. And then you're sitting there, it's a bad day when I say to my wife, it was only 6-0. All things considered, that's quite respectable. 10 men, we were doing, and the thing is, we lost their player that can make a difference. I mean, Maeda is the kind of guy who can, nobody can match him for speed. The guy, we called him the Japanese Frank McGarvey. He does not know what he's doing next, let alone anybody else. He sometimes he'll break your heart. You'll see him, but the runs and the bursts, there'll be teams going, who is this guy? And he will come up with something incredible. And when we lost him, when he gets sent off, Brendan Rodgers said a few weeks ago, you're never down to 10 men when Maeda's in your team. Remember when somebody else gets sent off? Well, last night, it was as if we'd lost 2 men, because just before he gets sent off, I thought, look at the engine on him. He's in the mood tonight. And then when it went in with that tackle, I thought, well, lifted his leg and then it dropped again. No big deal. The referee's given a yellow. Just watch yourself, son. And then VAR, which has killed the game. VAR has ruined. I'm not using that as an excuse, but it was pathetic. There's a wee phrase called "be careful what you wish for," and I remember thinking VAR would be a good thing. At the weekend there, we get 2 goals chopped off, 1 offside, fair dues, right? The next one we don't know what for. Remember, 2 defenders, banged into one another, and then VAR, it's ruled off. It's killing the game. It's the worst thing ever. It really is. However, we get pumped last night by a superior team who were scoring from every angle. I mean, it was like a game of FIFA. And 6-0, it's a bitter pill to swallow, but you know what? It was a Lazio game. That was the game. The game management and that just ripped the guts out of our whole campaign. That was the night I thought, this is going to haunt us all the way through. If we'd have been sitting with 4 points, and we should be winning our 3 home games. They were all doable. You and I said this. I mean, like when the draw was made, when I came on here, we thought this is not a group of death. We can win these home games, and we just might get a wee point or maybe more. We've done it before, Lazio away, but not now. And that was the game. Lazio was the night. That was the game. That game management was terrible that night. It's not about last night. Last night was awful, obviously, but that was the night, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, lots of comments coming in, obviously, as you can imagine, over 200 people joining us, so I'll flick a few up there. Say, Christopher Patterson, morning, guys. I think we can blame the board for not backing the manager. They have no vision whatsoever and seem just happy to be in the competition, but I doubt they care. Peak Week G, morning, Pete. Let's face the hard truth. As long as Celtic are in the SPFL with no mega bucks from sports media like in the English Premier League, then they'll never be able to compete in the Champions League. Even the Europa seems a step too far. Lots of people kind of variation in the same theme. Michael Lee McSee, I blame the board for not equipping Brendan Rodgers and the team. And Peter King saying, board have let the fans and Brendan down. Celtic need a keeper that comes out and catches a ball. And Michael Ross saying, do the board notes £2.5 million for a win in the Champions League. And Plunge McNugget saying, I do blame the board, but that was the strongest team that Celtic had out last night. No, variations on a similar team. Plunge McNugget, I know you like that. Yeah, but a lot of it's kind of pointing the finger towards the board days that the summer transfer window, because the excitement that quickly dissipated. When Brendan Rodgers came in, everybody was excited. We were talking about Celtic was being linked with like Scott McTominay and stuff like that, and the board made an issue of the fact they had a surplus of cash, and you're about to say about Talk Sport, so. Remember, you were talking about Graham Souness being on Talk Sport, and he mentioned something that you were quite taken by as well at the time.
You're right we were talking about the names like Scott McTominay, and I remember tuning into Talk Sport, it was Simon Jordan and Souness turned down and said, I would be worried if I was Rangers fans at the moment. And they said, why? He says, because Brendan Rodgers must be promised a war chest here. He must be. Because if Rodgers didn't really need to come back and put up with the hassle, everybody, we never forgive you, we hate you, the Green Brigade. He's a rich man. He doesn't need that. He walked away, and that's that. But then for him to come back, and Brendan said himself, he's here to make a mark in Europe, to step up. And he wanted to sit, he wanted to sit at the table with the big boys and all that. And we were promised all this, which when you look back now, is a wee kind of that was a bit silly. It was a bit reckless. It was an act of we were talking. They were mentioning names like McTominay and all that. But I remember Souness saying that he must be promised a right big war chest. And I remember Rangers supporting pal saying, "Oh no, Celtic are going to get 50 million or 30 million or whatever to go out there and buy a few marquee signings," which hasn't happened.
Yeah, those marquee signings never came in, did they? No. Martin Kay saying, both are only interested in the money the Champions League brings in, not interested in the progress of the team and the money spent by fans. Charlie McGarvey, but our bank balance is superb. Michael Ross, Mark, we never learn. And then Michael Ross says, the board never learn. So lots of people pointing fingers at, excuse me, the board. Craigie White, this is all on the board. They will continue to pat each other on the back, hand pennies to the manager and hide in their wee boardroom. So a lot of that going on, Des, the kind of the board getting it tight after another miserable night in Europe for Celtic. But as you say, you're not perturbed about that result last night because Atletico Madrid are a good side. It's the Lazio game that kind of demoralised everybody, didn't it? And you talk about game management and stuff like that and being able to, because at home, Celtic usually put up a decent fighting fist of it, and they are capable of winning all their home games against any opposition. I still believe that about any Celtic team going out there on Champions League nights.
It's a 12th man, and everybody says it's a 12th man. And you and I, first thing we said is that is no, we message one another, that is no group of death. We can do this. This is doable. For once, we usually, oh no, look, that's a minefield. And then we thought, no, we can do this. And what annoys me about that night is I remember we were playing Lazio, we were all over them, for most of the game. Mm-hmm. And then I was gutted. I thought, this mob they're going to steal a draw here. And then before you knew it, they get the 3 points. I thought,
they stole a win.
How could you be in control for so long and then the last few minutes cave in? That management was unforgivable. And I thought, that's it. That's the one we're going to look back on. If you win your 3 home games, you can, if you go away to Atletico Madrid and you're sitting with, 6 or 9 points, even win a couple of home games, it kind of takes the sting. Yeah. It takes the sting out of it. You can live with yourself. At least we're sitting there with a few points racked up. But no, that was the game that got us into the bad position that we're in, that made last night a must-win game and puts the pressure on. However, once again, we can't keep saying we're unlucky and it's VAR, and if we'd have done this, and it's all ifs and buts and maybes, we can't keep saying that. But we were never going to beat Atletico Madrid away. I don't think so. No chance. Everybody had to be at the top of their game. Every player had to, we had to be totally. But when you get somebody like Maeda, who was a secret weapon last night, the guys don't know how to play him. When he comes off, that's it. But as I say, it's not about last night. It was about Lazio. Yeah. Definitely in part.
The wait for a win in Spain goes on as well, as you say. Will McMillan comes in and says, we all knew our weaknesses last season: left back, centre back, goalkeeper, box to box, midfielder. Celtic sorted none of it. A bench of Mikey Johnson, Tony Ralston, James Forrest, etc. shows how deluded the Celtic fans are to expect anything. Here's a name for the embezzlement society. You can blame the board all you want, but when Celtic were getting out of groups from Milan and Manchester United under Gordon Strachan, they spent nothing. They had a group of players playing with a heart and a pragmatic approach. I guess that's another argument altogether as well, isn't it? But yeah, that's you can look at that, can't you, and say, but football kind of changed as well. The difference between the haves and the have-nots now is vast, isn't it? There's a real gulf there. There's the real financial gulf. I'm not saying it wasn't there with when Celtic were getting out the groups with Manchester United and Milan, but it wasn't as big, was it?
No, but still, remember like the teams like Rosenborg and all that were always there, getting through. And you're thinking they don't have the money Celtic have, and they certainly don't have the support at Celtic Park that is a 12th man that many. So it's not just down to just money. There are teams with a far lesser budget. When you look at who goes through at the stage, you're going, they're not. They're not a massive. They're not a Barcelona or a Real Madrid. When you look at some of them, Copenhagen and all that.
I look at Shakhtar last night. They beat Barcelona at home, 1-0. Shakhtar Donetsk. So your home games are paramount in this competition. That those kind of results tell you that, and even if you don't get through it, the commenter said there, you're getting £2.5 million for a win. So it's still money coming into your coffers at the end of the day to swell your budget, possibly to bring in the kind of players or the quality players that the manager is banged on about. You know, there's a bloated squad. There's about 32 to 35 players. He wants 25 players, doesn't he? That's what the manager said. So, but he wants 25 quality players. So, I think Brendan Rodgers knows who he wants. It's now about getting that back into finance that and see where they can take the team.
And also, whose fault is it if Brendan Rodgers come back and says, I'm only come back in a condition where I can get the big bucks to sit at the top table and we can match these guys? Well, you know, if he's came back, what are the board saying? Well, we never asked for any players. We don't, you know, who's to blame here? Because I know the board are going to be, you know, are going to be getting pelters today. Fair enough, but a few comments have said, you know, it's not the board's fault. You know, if you know Celtic before have got out of groups with, you know, we've not spent fortunes on players, modest players, not world beaters. But up until last night, we were all sitting tickety-boo, you know, and hunky-dory, and, oh, you know what, Kyogo's awesome, O'Reilly, we'll look at Keeper Hoddy and Maida. And then after it, it's like, you know, this guy and that guy, and Greg Taylor's not good enough, Joe Hart's not good enough, usual. I wasn't surprised we get pumped 6-0. Well, 6-0, didn't want to see that. But as I say, everything was okay before the game last night. We're sitting in a good place and all that. And I do admit that the subs bench is pretty desperate, right? It's pretty sparse. There's no any quality there at all, next to no quality. But all we need to do is, I mean, but now we just need to forget about that. And we need to go to Aberdeen and win and get back on the horse again. We just need to go up to Pittodrie and win on Sunday. That's a must-win game. We need to get that and get that.
Yeah, I think they're at home on Sunday, aren't they? Because they've already played Aberdeen at Pittodrie.
Oh, right. For some reason, I thought, right, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody will tell us in a second. For some reason, I thought,
no,
that's fine.
No, they are at home because they won 3-1 earlier at Pittodrie in the season. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, they have to get that out of their system. You're completely and utterly right. I get that. But also as well, I looked at last night and, you know, in two of the matches, Des, with getting a man sent off, you're not giving yourself any chance. You know, Celtic have had 3 players sent off in 4 Champions League games, 2 against Feyenoord and 1 against Atletico Madrid. And it's not in their nature to be, like, let's say, a dirty team or a team that's renowned for, you know, a lack of discipline. So, and you have to say, yep, those red cards have been harsh. I get that. But, you know, when you're not giving yourself a chance to win the games and it just becomes a bigger mountain. And once Maida went last night, that was it. You were just saying, blow the whistle now, ref. We'll take the 1-0, you know, and get out of Dodge. And then you sort of thought this is the potential to go south, and it did. But I was saying to you off air, it's not so much the way Celtic lose, it's the cluster of goals they seem to lose. Whenever these things happen, they lose them in 2s and 3s, don't they?
You know that in half time we're going to lose a goal. It's always the same. Yeah. It happened to Feyenoord, and you know that, you know, if we can just get there with you one behind, we can regroup and then look at things. But I mean, looking at that, take away all the flack that the board are getting and everything else, right? I'm going back to VAR again, and I'm not making excuses. We would have get beat anyway. But this, right, that manager of theirs, I'm saying it again. See when he at the home game when we reluctantly just slapped Rodgers' hand as he
walked. Diego Simeone, yeah.
Honestly, that's he's got no class whatsoever. And see last night when Maeda went in with the tackle, and yes, the boot went up and then it kind of fell again and he withdrew and he got the yellow card, the slap in the hand. You just saw Simeone like that, you know, all that, you know, like the histrionics and the antics and all that right in front of the referee. And that was it. It was like, oh really? We better go and see that on VAR. It was disgraceful the way he was behaving, and that's why Rodgers lost. He's pointing at him, and once again, there's a history with that lot going back to 1974, and it was all once again that manager with all his antics, and they are, as you know, streetwise is one way. That's been diplomatic, and we're pretty naive to be honest as well. But that lowest of the low, honestly.
And you saw the referee saw it in real time and deemed what he thought was a sufficient punishment with a yellow card, and it was down to Simeone and about 7 Atletico Madrid players surrounding him, flashing the imaginary red card and saying, "You want to go and check this?" And And I said last night, for time and perpetual motion, clubs like Atletico Madrid are practitioners of dark arts. Lots of people want to call it something else, like cheating and all that. But how do you prove cheating? But they certainly push that envelope, and they know how to intimidate referees, put pressure on opposition, and as I say, practitioners of the dark arts. Read what you want into that, but they've been doing it for 50 years or more than 50 years, and still getting away with it. And it was that pressure to boot from Diego Simeone and the players that it got Maida sent off. And Brendan Rodgers admitted that himself. And but again, it's like everything else. They've been doing it and getting away with it for years. So is there a certain naivety on clubs like Celtic and others part that don't beat them or try and beat them at their own game and join them in that sense? And be, as you say, more streetwise and not as naive as that?
But really, does Celtic really want to stoop to that level? That's not Celtic.
I know they don't, yeah.
Rapid Viennas and all this, the cheats, or what we call it, dark arts or Bob Haggerty, whatever we want to call it, right? It's shocking, and they've got a reputation. Yes, but they win trophies, and they're a successful team, successful manager. But it's the lowest of the low, and I don't think Celtic ever want to stoop to that level. I would rather watch Celtic play fair. Sadly,
I'm not advocating that they do, but sometimes you maybe have to fight fire with fire. And again, there's that still of Maida's boot, and it looks high, and it catches him on the shin, and you say to yourself, but was there? He never went in. He never studied into it. He never went in with malice or intent. He's just.
If you look at it, it was like yes, but
correct. But and
2 feet.
And as a referee, he saw that in real time. He had a right good view of that, and he booked him. And it's only from what happened, the histrionics, that led to the sending off. And that's, as you say, that's unpalatable to clubs like Celtic and many others. But it's just the way clubs like Atletico Madrid and others have always performed down the years, and they will not change, will they?
And if anybody watched the Beckham documentary, David Beckham shares our let's just say, disdain for this man. I mean, the Simeone. It was him that got him sent off in it.
It was. Yeah, the back.
This, and they've got a history with Celtic. But yes, it's shocking. Do you remember those? Do you remember more simple times, Tony, when there was no VAR and the referee just had that nanosecond to go there? And sometimes it went for you, sometimes it went against you, but that was the game. See now, I mean, we were watching the referee looking at the screen, and it just showed you this freeze, this pause, against there, and it looked a lot worse than what it was. If you watch the video, or if he saw it with his own eyes, you would see it just goes like that, and the two of them just clip one there. And
Brendan Rodgers said the still wasn't representative of the challenge. And I totally agreed with him, and that's the problem. VAR is now stripping every bit of enjoyment that you have in football. Every goal, you're now looking to see whether VAR's going to get involved, aren't you? Every goal, not just, every goal, you're looking at the linesman to see if he's got his flag up, or to see if there's something going to bring it back to chalk it off.
Players can't celebrate.
Yeah.
The crowd are like, we need to wait. Is it a goal? I mean, that, as I say, 2 chalked off via VAR on Saturday there. One was still none the wiser when the 2 defenders kind of clashed, but then Scales put it in. We don't know why that was chalked off. But also, Kyogo got a really bad stud, last night. Nothing was done. Where was VAR then?
Correct. So if Maida's is deemed a red, then surely the one on Kyogo should also be deemed a red, because it was just as reckless as well, or high, or it looked like a similar type challenge. And also, Palmer's booking was frightening. I mean, for questions, and it's ruled them out of the Lazio game, which you might have to. Well, you need to go and win to try and have any chance of, resurrecting Europa League qualification. But these guys can surround the referee and berate him and badger him to send off Griezmann Maida, and he does nothing to them. And Palmer questions a tackle from Liam Scales, and the ref says, Brandy sees a yellow card which rules him. I mean, there is no there's no uniformity there. There's no consistency, and they're the decisions that drive fans absolutely wild.
If he's getting a yellow card for that, then Simeone with all that and with all his antics and panto stuff, he should get banned for 6 months. Then. I mean,
died for that.
Unbelievable. And every one of them, every decision, they're all running up and going, no, and get the card out. Terrible. You're playing against. But and I couldn't believe what he got a yellow card for them, and I saw it was just for a wee bit of questioning the decision, and then when you see what that Simeone gets away with, unbelievable, ridiculous, staggering. So it is.
Yeah, correct. And and these things, as much as I don't think that even if Celtic kept 11 men on the park, they would have won the match. Brendan Rodgers himself said it after the game. He said, whenever you play at this level, you usually come up against teams who have 2 quality strikers. And then Antoine Griezmann and Alvaro Morata, they're quality operators. And it's no surprise that both of them scored twice in the game. And they were the chief, or tormentors in chief of Celtic. But because they're class acts, basically, and that is what you're up against.
We were saying, you and I were just discussing before we came on air, and we talk about our class acts, Kyogo and O'Reilly, and then you're kind of going, well, after that, who are the kind of the guys that you always go, oh, somebody's going to come in, somebody like Spurs, and you always worry Kyogo's going to get snapped up or O'Reilly's going to be the next big one. But they've got about 15 guys like that. I mean, they got a guy, a Brazilian boy, is it Lino?
Lilo, I think he won, yeah.
Incredible goal. They've got guys who could score for anywhere last night. The 2 forwards were lethal, and you're thinking, so they've got 12 to 15 stars, world class players, guys, French internationals, playing for them. They're not just the other team in Madrid; they're a quality outfit, Yeah. And we've got 1 or 2 guys that you go, oh, star quality, but they're not in the same league as these guys. Really, they're not.
No, and sometimes you just have to just look and say admire, but you just got to applaud it, haven't you? Sometimes you say, look, that is the quality that you're up against. Even the manager said it himself. These guys are terrific, and most clubs are armed with 2 strikers. So so getting back to the point, I want Celtic to arm themselves with 2 strikers then of repute, guys that can take chances and stuff. And you're not going to play against that caliber of opposition every week. I get that, but I still want them to have the squad capable of getting results. Certainly at home, Des, that's what I want. I want them to be as fiercely competitive as possible in that arena. Because it was a bit like Groundhog Day last night, wasn't it? You'd been in this movie before, and it's not enjoyable. It's you sit there and you just think, no, please not again, as you say. Keep the score down.
Keep the score down. You're sitting there going, oh, is this going to be a PSG? Oh no, is this going to be a Barcelona again? Is it going to go to 7? Is it going to go? And then I was like 6. Okay, that's it. Shut. We were a man doing this up, but at the end of the day, it's just not good enough. But so who do we blame again? Go back to the board, right? And let's just say in the January, let's just throw this out there. The January transfer window, Brendan goes, right, we definitely need players now, right? And just say, who are you going to attract, right, of Atletico Madrid, say, quality, right, guys? Just say you're looking for 3 or 4 absolute marquee, the kind of guys that Brendan was talking about when he just signed for Celtic. And they really want to come here and play in AstroTurf and plastic pitches and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the hard sell, isn't it?
So they want to, there's 2 teams that are going to win this league, and that's it. And you need to go down to Kilmarnock and play on, a plastic pitch and all that. And so that's the thing, do you build an amazing team that just wins, and then it's what can you do?
Paul Byrne comes in and says the next 2 transfer windows will show the aspiration of the club. Do they want success in the pitch or in the ledger? I think, but there has to be some kind of happy medium there, reach Des, but you have to try and maximise, get the players, the top level players that they can get within their financial parameters and make them come, and I know that they won't be, and I'm not talking about being reckless, but if it takes a certain amount of money to get an X factor player, then sometimes you have to pay that, don't you? If you have aspirations, particularly in Europe, which the manager said that they do, And you're looking at again. You need to win. You need to win in Rome, and you need to beat Feyenoord at home to have any chance of qualifying for the Europa League. And even if you do win those 2 games, there's no guarantee you're going to go through. So you could conceivably go out on 7 points. You know, I want 7 points. That's what I want. I'm not one for giving up the ghost right now. There's 2 games left, and I want to win them both. So that's just the way I'm approaching it, and let the chips fall where they may. Because I think, and I still think they'll do a slice of luck in this competition at some point, because they've had nothing but wretched luck, to be fair. But yeah, sometimes you make your own luck, don't you, as they say. So.
I mean, we should beat Feyenoord at home. I mean, they beat us 2-0 over there with 9 men. Surely, you know, if we beat them at home, we should beat them. We should have beat Lazio at home. I keep harping on about this. And then, again, we need to rely on other, as you say, if we win the 2 of them, we're not guaranteed. We need to rely on other results. There's a wee permutation that I can't remember, but we need to rely on somebody beating somebody and somebody beating. So, as per usual, and knowing Celtic, it'll be too little too late. It's always a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, but I just thought, to be honest, I was thinking this year, Rodgers is back. I think we'll win the league. And, you know, you'd be looking for another cup, so a cheeky wee double and a wee run in Europa. I wasn't thinking, but, you know, you're never going to, what are Celtic really going to do in the Champions League? Come on.
Yeah.
You know, I know it'd be nice to break through and get out that group for once, but I just think if you're living in the real world, then you're thinking a run in the Europa League. Come on. It's a bit more realistic, isn't it? And you're thinking, we want to be in Europe, you know, after Christmas time. So now we're up against it.
Yeah,
well,
of course.
Again, it's all down to that reckless game management at Parkhead against Lazio. That was unforgivable that night. That was a sickener.
Yeah, that's the one that's demoralised everybody really in this competition, isn't it? Where you thought you were, as you say, you thought Lazio were lucky to get a draw and they've stolen it, basically, you know. So, and you will kick yourself. You look back on it and you think, dear, you know.
That was a night. It was an absolute mugging at the end, but it was odd. I just can't believe that, you know, they left it to they fell apart the last few minutes when it mattered at that level at Parkhead with that brilliant support behind them. We say that this is, you need to win. If you win your 3 home games, which we said we would, then you don't really need to worry too much. You know, that if you get there, that's it. The money's in the bank. You know, surely that should be enough. You might scramble a wee point, but if you don't win your home games, then I don't think we'll get a bit. You know, we won't get a better chance. It wasn't a tough draw. Feyenoord were no great shakes.
I know they were a pot 1 team as well. To be fair, I didn't think. Correct. But hey, Seamus McKenna coming in saying project players and first choice are being sent off. This is deeper. Celtic need a team that can get angry when situations arise. You agree with that, Des?
And what is he saying? More kind of hatchet men and stuff like
that? I'm assuming so, yeah. But again, as you've alluded to, it's not Celtic style, is it?
It's not. I mean, Celtic are a cavalier. You know, they always play good football. We always pride ourselves in playing good football. You know, but when you look back at Martin O'Neill's team, you know, we did have a big kind of tough back 3 as well, who take no nonsense, Big Baldy and stuff like that. But you want to get the balance right. You don't want too many hatchet men and then, you know, Les Larsons and Moravceks and all that. You don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
So, but as usual, as I said last night before the game started, we're all sitting going, you know what, we could get with this incredible optimism, which is like Celtic. We're just like, do you know what? I think we could scrape a point. I think we could sneak a win. We were amazing at Parkhead. I mean, we were brilliant. We played them toe to toe because we drew 2 each at Parkhead, and we were getting a wee bit carried away. They had won, was it 16 home games in a row last night?
I believe so, yes.
So 16 home games in a row. They beat Real Madrid just a few weeks ago. And, you know, and before the game, they're talking to people and they're going, so what do you think? I think we could win this tonight. And I'm thinking, there
was a wave of optimism, and I guess that comes with being a Celtic supporter, doesn't it?
Of course it does, and that's why we love Celtic, because, you know, it's always unpredictable. They are it's a fairy tale club, and, you know, we get carried away a lot of the time. And, like last night, I thought we aren't going to beat Atletico Madrid. We can't beat them away. You know, their quality all the way through their team. and this magnificent home record, 16 wins or 15 wins, whatever it was. You're looking at it, and I'm looking at, you always look at the last, and one of the guys in the group chat went, I bet they get beat at the weekend. Yeah, but the fun's like 16 home games in a row, and they are a class team, and and you look at their bench and their full internationals and all that as well. So, but as I say, not about the Atletico Madrid's away. So,
Paul Bunn coming in saying there's a balance to be had with physical and talented players to make up a team. Rodgers' team doesn't have that balance. There you go.
What we're saying then, more physicality.
Yeah, I think in a Martin O'Neill style team, as you say, they had Baldy and Valhalla and Mialby and Lenny and Sutty and Hudson and all that. So I guess, and it's no surprise that those kind of players, they could all play football as well, to be fair, and Celtic did well in Europe, didn't they? So,
well, O'Neill said last night, if you're watching on TNT, he says, what can I say? I think it's, I think it's very interesting. Callum McGregor said we need to have a shift in mindset. I think that's, I think it's very, very interesting what he said there. That was his way of saying, what are you on about, son? You get that shift. Was it a shift in mindset?
Yeah.
Who I have to say, and I know I'm going to get pelters, I thought McGregor was very poor last night.
Yeah, I think which started with the kind of header straight to Griezmann for the opening goal.
And then he gave
a poor header and a lazy header, But yeah, I agree.
Because he was good against Rangers. That was it. I get how dare you say that? McGregor's awesome.
It's not about pointing the finger at individual players, it's the collective thing, isn't it? So you could go through the whole team last night and say not one of them deserved to pass marks. Scoreline tells you all, doesn't it? 6-0. So it's like,
listen,
and you could do the slaughter job on them all, but where does it get you?
No, it's as I say, a quality outfit, and 6-0. It was a bad day when I went, that's it, we'll take 6.
10 men, but as you say, I think you need to get this out your system in Aberdeen on Sunday. Is
the game's at Parkhead, by the way. You get your facts right. The game's at Parkhead.
Yeah, I know that.
I know you did. I don't know why.
It's a kind of ideal game, isn't it? Because it's quite a, it's not a Dundee or something. No disrespect to Dundee, but it's a kind of high caliber game, and the juices will be flowing again for it come Sunday.
Yeah, listen, it's a perfect game because you're right. It's no some. Imagine you were going down to Kilmarnock or something, and you were going, and it was away to Inverness Cali or that. You don't want a sticky wicket like that, right? Mm-hmm. It's a perfect game. It'll be back at Parkhead, get it out of the system, beat Aberdeen, and that's us. You're back on the horse again, and get that out. You just forget about it, move on. Mm-hmm. Teams have had gubbins in Europe. It happens. A lot of bigger teams than us, and it's just one of these things. But we need to get back and beat Aberdeen. There's no question about that, right? You need to go and beat them. That's a perfect game. It is, because you still want to. Aberdeen still, at Parkhead, definitely. And that's what you need to do.
Jerry Ross, is it Sunday against Aberdeen? Yes, it is. Yes. Sunday against Aberdeen. It's a later kickoff, isn't it? Because
something like 2:30 or something.
I think Rangers are the earlier game, aren't they? Despite the fact that they're playing on Thursday, but hey, it is what it is. They're playing on Sunday too. So yeah,
I'm just used to seeing Celtic on the right. Every single game this season seems to be away, and I'm just like, what are we going to do?
Plunge McNugget saying Celtic don't belong in the Champions League. Is that a bit harsh, Des?
I think Plunge McNugget talking about. I think he's just been brutally honest. The fact that we're sitting going 6-0, that's enough, no a 7 or an 8, and we've been pumped with PSG, a cricket still get pumped with Barcelona. No, we're not at the level of Champions League. That's although but some will go, yeah, but this team, they're through there, they don't have we're just not good enough at this current time. And when Brendan came back and he said, look, I'm thinking about Europe and stuff like that. It's been a poor campaign, and I was one of the ones that welcomed Brendan Rodgers back, and I think we're on a great run with him at the moment. Take away last night, and we are going to win the league and the Scottish Cup. that would do for me this year. But no, I agree with Plunge McNugget. I never thought I'd come onto this podcast and say that line. I agree with Plunge McNugget.
Neither did I. So the
Celtic Way says it's the best podcast out there. It's Tony Haggerty. You know what? He's the thinking man's Graham Spears. He's awesome. And then she's going to go, what was that thing about I agree with Plunge McNugget? The plunger says we're not good enough for the Champions League and that. No. And he's done a bottle of Buckfast and that. No. She was like, what is this? So plunger, I agree with you. At this moment in time, how can we say that we are a Champions League?
Yeah.
Let's have a wee run in Europa if we're lucky enough to get into Europe after Christmas.
Scotland the Brave comes in and says, guys, look on the bright side, we're 8 points clear, and the closest rivals ain't played in Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs are away yet. They have all those fixtures to come. Celtic are still on course for a double.
Of course we are.
And so Anthony Beattie saying it's the same excuse in the Champions League every season. It's on the board, reset, repeat. Lots of Celtic supporters are feeling that way today. They're pointing the fingers at the board, as we've seen a lot of them having the same variation on a similar theme, isn't it, really?
Well, it's always going to be that. The Celtic fans have always had a love-hate relationship with the board. There's never been a time where Celtic fans went, do you know what, the Celtic board, they've never, even when I remember the treble and the bus was going down in Cairn, I remember that, and it was a lovely day, and we just won the treble, and they were all still moaning, going, see that board, they need to start building next year, we got away with it. And it's just always going to be the way. They're the board, it's Lawwell, so he's never going to dip up. And I totally get that. There's times where you're going, why are we not, where's that money went from Jota? Where's that money went? Totally get it. But I agree with Scotland the Brave or many others. I'm still as happy as I was. We don't want to get pumped in Europe. Of course we don't. But no, we're on a great run at the moment. And it was nice to hear the Green Brigade singing Brendan Rodgers' song. Brendan Rodgers. Wasn't it? How was that finally coming down? Right. And it went on a brilliant run. And it happened last night. And again, I don't think we would have got beat 6-0 if that yellow card had stayed a yellow card. I'm not making excuses. Well, I am, but I'm just saying it's just, again, it's always a hard luck story with Celtic. Call it naivety, call it we're no streetwise, or we don't have the dirt or the dark arts. I love this new term, the dark arts.
The dark arts, yes.
The dark arts. The athletic have got. Years ago, when they were on the tunnel back in the early 70s, they were just cheats and thugs and scum of European football. Now it's the dark arts. So, the athletic would do it now. Yes.
The words dark arts take me back to kind of Claudio Gentile's marking job on Maradona in the World Cup in '82 for Italy. That was the ultimate dark arts, where I think he fouled Maradona 24 times or something like that. It's ridiculous. It's a world record for the amount of fouls in one person.
Irony though, that mob all round about Maeda and the referee last night going like that guy, that's a disgrace. And he never actually, it was like a slap of 2 feet. He dropped it, went in. And Maeda does run about. He runs about mental. Yeah. You don't know what direction he's going in. And the biggest tribute was the Japanese Mugabe. Mugabe gave everything running. And he's amazing. He is. You can't play it. He's just like, but last night, he bang, ran that way, then bang, get in for tackles. And yes, call it naive, but if you do anything like that and give that Simeone just half a chance, and then it's all that, and then he ran right during the tunnel. Honestly, the guy's, he's got no class whatsoever. That's my diplomatic. That's not what we called him off air, obviously.
Classless indeed. Thomas Gallagher, get the bank emptied, he's saying. Just throw the kitchen sink at it, Des. Is that the answer?
No, because if I say I'm not sticking up for the board, not at all. I've had my rants at Lawwell and all that. Where's the money went? Where's as far back? Where did Tierney's money go? Where did Thingy's money go? Where did Jota's money go? All that stuff. And here's the thing: where do we at the moment domestically? Are we happy with the team domestically? Put that out there. Are we happy with what they're doing domestically? Do we have a good squad? Yeah, probably not. I know that people aren't happy when they see James Forrest coming on, right? And Mikey Johnson and all that. I get that. They go, here we go. Why are we still playing these guys? fine. I think Forrest has been a good servant. You know, bring them on if we're 3-0 up and stuff like that isn't the worst thing. You know, so what are we saying then? Do we just need to go into the transfer window in January and just buy? Would everybody be happy if we bought 3 big guns, like big guns? Because I'm listening to people moaning in group chats and on Celtic Twitter and all that, saying we've got too many midfielders. What's happened to this guy and this guy? And what about this? You know, and they're all saying, well, that's another waste of money. This guy Bernardo, he's no good enough. And we do have a lot of midfielders. They're sitting getting money for nothing, so you can't win. They're either sitting there picking up a wage for nothing, and they're a waste of money, and they're not get, and then they're moaning that they're not spending enough. So I don't know. Where's the
the happy medium? Michael Lee McSee comes in. We just want a team that can compete in Europe. It's not rocket science, is it? And Will McMillan saying he rates Rodgers very highly, but Rodgers has to tell the board what's required to improve the team, as results will be down to him. I'm sure he has already told the board what's required, but domestically, they're good enough to compete domestically and beat everything that's in front of them. It's just Europe that's always been the sticking point, hasn't it, for clubs like Celtic latterly?
The best analogy, Will McMillan, you're right there. I thought Rodgers probably went, I want this guy, I want that guy, and I want that guy, and it's not happened. I just thought, but Celtic in Europe's a bit like, you run a brilliant business in Scotland, in Glasgow, a brilliant business. It's an award-winning business. It's brilliant. But see the minute you go abroad, you made a right fool of yourself last night, you. Oh, I know. It's almost like the minute, it's like somebody going, and then just stick to it here. Don't bother with it. Something just happens when we're at Parkhead. No. The music comes on. The best atmosphere. Everybody said it from Messi. And Haggerty, did you hear him saying Goose Pimp was last night? Was it Haggerty?
Yeah. Haggerty's yeah.
O'Neill was dying. O'Neill was having a right go at him, wasn't he, last night? You're an absolute. He's dying to say, see you. I remember you saying this. I totally, absolutely remember. And Haggerty was saying Goose Pimp. So we've got all that, and something happens, and then suddenly you believe you've got that. With Parkhead, you've got that pure Rocky Balboa Eye of the Tiger when that happens. No, you know. You ain't getting no shot at the title, and that's title. We do. We get there and we think, you know what? The underdog, Rocky, and then there's always a hard luck story. There's always something that goes against us. And we said before, why I'm more concerned about the home game. Is it because we just go, gung ho, cavalier, let's go at them. We don't know how to shut show. We don't know how to game manage. We're talking about the home games. What is it? Where do we go wrong? Why can we not get 9 points in 3 games at Parkhead, Tony? Why can we not do that? That's a big concern going over to did.
Yeah. Brown Warrior, Celtic are not building anything, are they, though? They've been in a constant state of rebuild since Wanyama, Hooper and Wilson were punted in the summer of 2013. That's the real issue at Celtic. That's controversial, to say the least, Brown Warrior.
It's controversial, but you don't think because we had a very, Rangers were poor, there was another league, we brought in Ronnie Dyla as an experiment, proved there was no ambition. We were like, you know what? There's that's it. It's like there's no challenge. So they just thought, so that's why why would they go and spend 10 million on a European, a world-class player and I think it stemmed for then. And then, it was very, very easy for a while. And then Big Ange came in, brought the Japanese boys in and all that. That was just, wow, revelation. And, it's one of these ones, if you sign a few duds for a right few grand, then you're going to win. So, I don't know. It's getting the balance right.
Ian Corbett, unfortunately, Celtic are where he thought they would be at this stage in the group. Honestly, doesn't know where the Euro expectation has come from. But Celtic are just kidding themselves on. And Plunge McNugget comes back in. Celtic fans can moan and complain till the cows come home. Nothing's going to change unless the supporters start depriving Law and these cronies of their money. But that's...
I think that's a wee bit extreme because, as I say, domestically, we're going to win the league again. We're 8 points clear at the moment. We're looking good, playing good football. So... I don't, we kind of go down the old sack the board road again. I genuinely believe if somebody was to say, right, honest truth, gun at the head, where do you think Celtic will be in this group? It's not the group of death. I still thought, I didn't think we'd end up, second of that. I thought there'd be a wee kind of a dog fight at the bottom, and we'd let ourselves down, probably Parkhead, which we have. So Plunswick Nugget, or whoever it was there, has got a point. We are where probably we thought we were going to be. Let's be honest. We'd love to think that we're going to be second in a group, or but it's just not going to happen at this current
time. It's the same record stuck on repeat, and Des Harkin comes in and says, "Great work, giving us a laugh at a low point, Des." I go, "This is why Method in the Madness. This is why I brought your man on." So
thank you. As I said at the start of the show, if you tuned down, I said I'm the Graham Murphy of podcast pundit guests today. Send for McLean. Oh no, my wife went, "Are you ever going to go in that when Celtic have been pumped around before?" I said, "No, no, absolutely like that."
It's the law. It's the law, and people are saying that hope you're right, Des, that Celtic will win the league. Yeah, but you're convinced of that, aren't you?
100%. Oh no, we're too consistent. That with Rodgers. Can argue all you want. Is Rodgers he's a class manager as a Celtic? Of course, he is one of the best Celtic managers. And I know there's still people out there who are still, they haven't forgiven him and all that. Rodgers will win. We will win the league. We will. And the fact that when we won that last game at Ibrox, that was Rodgers showing, that he's class. Yeah. And so there's no worries about the league. I would like a nice wee double. And if we get into the Europa, it'd be nice to play a wee bit of European football after Christmas. I'm not going to lie, whenever we get into that group, and it might not be a group of death, I always go, a pumping's coming. One big pumping's coming. It is. A pumping is coming. One of these games is going to be a PSG, and last night was a pumping. And
yeah. But we pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and we go again on Sunday, Des. It's just the nature of it, isn't it?
Sunday's a big game because psychologically, and I remember when Celtic get pumped. It was either Barcelona, and somebody's making a good point. They were saying this could have a real, psychological, effect on the players. A lot of the younger ones, getting beat like that, they will be standing there. It affects the confidence. Think about it. That's a massive bad day at the office. That's a boxer hitting the canvas time and time again. Right. Well, right. So these players will be sitting going, "Oh no, we've been pumped 6-0. It doesn't matter what level you're at. So we need to go out there on Sunday and we need to beat Aberdeen. The way that we've been playing lately, we need to go out and beat them convincingly. 3-4, score a few goals, 3-4-5 would be nice, and that's it. We're back on track, and we need to put that behind us. But all the players will be, they'll be hurted, they'll be gutted, they'll be sitting there. We just don't want, we need to win this one on Sunday, and that's it. Back on, keep that 8-point gap, and then remember, Rangers have got a few away games coming up finally, and and we've got Rangers at Parkhead, which if we play the way we did against Atletico Madrid, the first half especially, but we still were brilliant in the second half, then we would beat MD at Parkhead. Lazio and Atletico Madrid, and probably but no, if Celtic were there against Rangers at Parkhead, the New Year's game, and play the way they did, and I don't see why because a year ago that game, remember the game, the 3-0?
Yeah,
it was incredible. The atmosphere was unbelievable. I'll never forget that, and it was just so. Wolverhampton, Ange Costa something, but into a lower league team.
CFC 88 saying European football's a bonus. It's the league that matters. There you go. So I agree with you, Des, as well. But excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I love getting Des. As I once said, Bertie always a force of nature, but he's not far from it himself. And there he is, telling you all about Brendan Liberty coming back to the Pavilion in February.
Thank you, Tony.
You do. And we always ask you to... We always ask you every day to subscribe to the Celtic Way website and help support top quality journalism in the process, covering the club you love. Hit that subscribe button, guys. It's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Current deal, £4 for 4 months, or why not take out a yearly subscription for £18? two great deals there. Now, once again, we say thank you to MPH Group, who sponsor the Celtic Way morning briefing. They are Scotland's award-winning family-run all-trade specialists covering all of mainland Scotland, and every service you opt for automatically enters you into MPH's incredible holiday giveaway, and you could win a 7-night stay at the luxurious 5-star Moon Palace Resort in Cancun, Mexico. And with winter rolling in, if you're thinking of giving your home heating system a boost, MPH has an enticing Navien Boiler Winter Promotion just for you. And if you opt for a Navien boiler installation through MPH Boilers, not only are you choosing top-tier efficiency, but you're also getting a free Navien Internet Controller, and that little gadget can crank up your boiler's efficiency to an impressive 98%. And the cherry on top of that is that they're covering the first year's service with no added cost. And if you're wondering why Navien, then they're gunning for the product of the year at the H&V News Awards, which is the equivalent of the Oscars in the heating world. And to top it all off, the Navien on-range comes with a 12-year parts and labour warranty, and that's some peace of mind right there for you guys. So big shout out to MPH, and they're nominated for a Small Company of the Year at the same awards. So, and they even offer flexible finance options. So gear up for a big chill and consider making a smart move with MPH and Navien, and you'll find all the links to MPH's social media sites and telephone number in the description of this video. Des, thank you, sir. You've made a hard task very enjoyable, unlike watching Celtic last night, but that's why I brought you on. People needed lifted up off the canvas in a Rocky style, and I'm sure you managed to do that, sir. Gave them optimism for Sunday as well. So I'll try and get you on one day when Celtic have a wonderful result. Or they've won a match, and you can be even more enthusiastic. The most enthusiastic man I've ever seen, despite a 6-0 drubbing. That's why you're here, and I thank you so much. You're always kind to me. You always answer the call, and I'm indebted to you for that, sir. Thank you.
That's it. Listen, it's a pleasure. I love being on here discussing all things Celtic with you and with all your brilliant punters today who came out with loads of good stuff, good feedback, and it's always the same, and that's it. And that's why we love Celtic. We just don't, you never know what's going to happen with those Celtic. So listen, onwards, Sunday onwards, Aberdeen, we can do it.
I was making a point last night. It was Fergus McCann that said that being a Celtic supporter is never easy, but it's always worthwhile. I think people should always remember that. Keep that in their mind.
There's a line in Bennett Berry, Celtic, they'll break your heart more than. More than and it's so true, but you'll never ever not stop loving them or supporting them. That's it. It's always a roller coaster with Celtic all the time. Fairy tale club,
and you just keep coming back, don't you, for more, despite setbacks like last night. But guys, I hope you've enjoyed the show. As I say, this man was brought on for a reason. Hope he's lifted your hearts and your spirits. Certainly lifted mine. And as I say, I can't thank you enough. We roll on with Sunday. We move on. Celtic Aberdeen. A home game, Des, as you say. Whoa.
I just say it's dodgy. I just say that because I don't want to go to the Fords with the missus. No, that's why I say that. Don't tell her. That's why I say, aye. So, anyway.
Les Miller, thank you very much. Great show, guys. A wee tonic. Very much so. Appreciate that. Some wonderful feedback coming in. But, guys, have a wonderful Wednesday if you can. It's always your fortunes and your moods are intrinsically linked with the football club. But hey, onwards and upwards, Des. But thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it, sir.
Listen, my pleasure, Tony. Thank you, pal.
Take care. All the best, guys. Have a good day.
Cheers.